All right, now press record and then let me go to this one. Okay, we're live. Live from Landing Zone Studios, this is NOLA Famous. I'm your host, Tatum Gardner. I have the honor of having 3 members of the Cajun Navy here with me today. Good afternoon, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad we could arrange this.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we have Jason Bays, who is our lead boater. We have Tracy Allen, who is the Chief Administrative Officer. And we have Leisha Ferguson, who is the event planner, and you are in charge of the search and rescue games.
That's correct, yes.
We'll be talking a lot about later, for sure. All right. So I'm super excited. I mean, the Cajun Navy is fascinating to me. Just a group of volunteers that got together to do the right thing, go out and rescue people in need. How did all of this get started?
The very origin story is Hurricane Katrina. Officials overwhelmed, people in boats went out and were helping to pull people off rooftops. This iteration of it is from what we call the Great Louisiana Flood of 2016. There were several parishes in southeast Louisiana that were suddenly flooded. Baton Rouge area, some in the North Shore, Laplace, Luling area as well. Again, officials overwhelmed, not able to come to the need. Now this flooding wasn't a hurricane, it was just tremendous rainfall that came down and systems just could not handle it. People decided to get together, and people with boats, let me go do what I can. They get out there, the initial response is no, nobody help. Eventually, yes, we need your help. To get it organized, Facebook page started. It's now the Cajun Navy Relief Ops page. People posted their requests for rescue there. Another boater had come on scene with some apps that he knew about to help everyone communicate. Zello is what we use as a radio system. It's an app you download on your phone to talk to each other. And then Glimpse, so we would know who was in that area to say, hey, can you get this person? People at home on their computers, not able to go out, organized themselves to know who needed help and who they were sending. Mm-hmm. They distributed the calls among various people sitting in their homes. You're responsible for getting these out of these. It came together.
And it was initially all through a Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay, so 2016, the floods, and it was just, and you weren't well received at that point. I mean, nobody took it serious. So they looked at you maybe like you were kind of putting people in danger or yourselves in danger.
Correct.
Right. So, and then it worked. I mean, how many people or how many boats do you think that you had out there for that?
In 2016, I
Yeah.
would say thousands.
Thousands of
I would say
boats.
thousands.
That's incredible.
People-
And how many volunteers did you have at that point?
We really didn't track in 2016. It was just kind of shooting from the hip, winging it, and it worked.
When did you join the Cajun?
The flood happened on a Friday night, I believe.
Yes.
Sunday. So me and my brother-in-law was watching on Facebook. We seen a bunch of videos and stuff, watching on the news, and we wanted to help, but really didn't know how to get started. So I had a coworker from work call me Sunday and said his cousin called him and she was stranded on her rooftop and couldn't get through 911. So he was trying to search for a boat, and he knew that I had a boat. So we loaded up and went, and by the time we got up there, officials had already got her boat. We just found a launch point and started pulling people from street to street.
So it was basically because they couldn't handle it. So I guess they figured at this point it's better to put people out there to help because we know that they need help. It's life or death. I mean, you guys are saving lives.
In 2016, they really didn't accept us at all.
No.
That Sunday when we got to to Denham Springs area. His cousin called and said she'd been taken care of. So we went to the EOC, Emergency Operations Command, and we sat in their parking lot for 5 hours, waiting. We signed in like you're supposed to, and as a volunteer, waited to be sent to an address that's coming in through the 911 system. We sat for 5 hours, and we're not the only boat sitting there. I'm talking the whole parking lot was full. Those people on Facebook practically almost drowned them, and we were sitting in a parking lot for 5 hours.
Oh.
So we just kind of left
And did your own thing.
And did our own.
Kind of went rogue.
Yeah.
And then that's how the Cajun Navy was born.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is great. So after that, now fast forward, that was 2016, and then we've had a horrendous 2 years with hurricanes for 17 and 18. Okay, and then Texas Harvey hits, and you guys head to Texas. Y'all have been credited with saving, doing 5,000 rescues for Harvey. That's insane. It's probably even more than that. That's what's documented.
I would say that's more.
Yeah. So what kind of manpower, at this point now, are you more organized? I mean, when you're coming, you don't have internet. The troopers have the roads blocked. Now are you pulling up and you're like, move the barricades with the Cajun Navy?
To a point.
There still was some hesitation, even in Harvey. But again, there was not an expectation that the flooding would be as bad as it got.
Mm-hmm.
We had a couple of people who said they're going to need help, and they left. They were riding into Houston with the hurricane, coming from Louisiana towards Houston. I think there were a couple of parishes that helped get them through.
Mm-hmm.
Roads were starting to flood, but still had to fight for a lot of acceptance there. And again, it took getting overwhelmed for the boaters to be accepted as emergency personnel.
Right.
Harvey didn't take us long though.
No.
Harvey made landfall, I believe, on a Saturday night.
Right.
On a Saturday night. Sunday morning, I got woke up from a phone call from another one of our boaters that lives in Lake Charles, and he said he was on his way to Houston. I was expecting a few days, let the hurricane pass, and then see how bad the flooding was. It didn't get us that time. We loaded up and we left Luling Sunday morning.
Okay.
And we drove straight into the hurricane. When we got to Dickinson, Texas, it was completely underwater, and we never hit a roadblock. Texas welcomed us with open arms once they seen how bad the flooding was.
Right. And by this point, you're getting a reputation. And where are most of your volunteers? Where do you guys live? Most of you guys?
We live everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Everywhere. When we talk about who we are, there's a core group that stays involved throughout the year, seeking certifications, seeking to actually become experienced in what it is we're doing. Boaters have come from Montana, Maine. We have dispatchers who've worked. One of our lead dispatch people actually works out of Chicago.
Really?
Yes. Another one is traveling from Kentucky to our games this weekend. We are all over. There is no one place that we are. Our address is housed in New Orleans. The three of us live within this area.
Mm-hmm.
But
how does it work? So as being a boater and you are a volunteer, obviously you have another job that you have to, that actually pays the bills. So you have to take off time from work to head. When do you head into the storms?
It just
How
varies.
soon after?
It
Okay.
varies. Like Hurricane Harvey, like I said, I was planning on a few days after it made landfall. That changed and we left, and we drove straight into the storm. We were actually in Texas in a boat when it made its second landfall.
Wow. How long were you there in
6
total?
days.
So you were there
I
for
was in
6
Texas
days.
For 6 days. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's when you spoke about the numbers of 5,000. I kind of chuckled at that because I know between me and another one of our main boaters that was in my team, we estimate 300 plus in each of our boats for the 5 to 6 days we were there. So
right. So and that was just you guys.
Yeah.
yeah, and they led teams of boaters. We have what we call spontaneous volunteers. These are the people who say, I'm going out, I'm going to help, and they link up with us. These spontaneous volunteers are everybody else who comes in. Some of them hang around for the whole year, end up coming around. But it's not just a set group for us. We try to come in with these spontaneous volunteers because one of the things the EOCs we found don't want to do is deal with the individual. They want to know that somebody is in charge of all these people, and that's where our boaters come in that have been with us. We're familiar with them. They understand the language the EOC is speaking, and they understand what the boaters are going through too, how they're wanting to help in their frustrations. They're this perfect link to get all of these rescues done.
So now do you kind of coordinate with the law enforcement, and do they include you in their hurricane preparedness meetings? And
in the preparedness meetings, no, not so much. Denham Springs has included us in some of their preparedness meetings. We do have a good relationship with some of the EOCs. During Hurricane Florence, we've got an MOU with, what county was that? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Lumberton, North Carolina, I believe it was. And that's a memorandum of understanding. It's paperwork, essentially. So they sign it, the EOC manager signs it, says we're allowed to be there and work underneath them. So we had that for Florence, and then Hurricane Michael, we were in Washington County in Florida. And we were doing tree removable, debris removable, just anything and everything.
I actually have a story about Hurricane Michael. I follow someone on Facebook. His name is Josh Champion, and on Instagram, he's known as the Emerald Coast Chef. And he was posting videos and pictures of his neighborhood right after the storm had passed. And obviously he was devastated. And it was like looking at Katrina for me. I mean, it looked like a bomb went off. So I instant messaged him and just said, what can we do to help? Like, New Orleans knows what you're going through and we're so sorry. And he said to me, donate to the Cajun Navy. They were the first ones here within 24 hours. He said Red Cross and FEMA didn't show up until 48 hours after the Cajun Navy. So how did you guys get there first? Like, how, because there's no red tape, or?
Essentially.
Yeah.
We're not required to wait for a certain amount of damage to happen. We're not required to wait for a certain number of people to be affected. We know it's coming. We're watching the same weather reports, and we start finding out, okay, who is able to go? Like you said, jobs that pay the bills.
Right.
So it's a matter of finding out who is it that can go, and sending someone out there to scope out the area to make sure, does this area truly need us? And when they do, okay, this is where we are.
Right. And it's just amazing to hear that. And you hear that story over and over again. The Cajun Navy gets there first. People are waiting for FEMA. And when you get there, you don't just do the search and rescue, but you bring supplies to people too, correct?
We do our organization does immediate supply relief. We try to bring in some water, because people are going to need drinking
Yes.
water. Try to get together some food supplies. We try to get together. The guys come in with, I think, some first aid stuff as well.
We do.
Minor.
Yeah, we do take first aid kits. We come in usually with cases of water. Hurricane Michael, for example, in Washington County, we were opening roads up. We were strictly debris removal. And a lot of these houses, we were a couple of days coming into Washington County after it made landfall. But a lot of these houses, these folks haven't gotten out since the storm, and nobody's gotten to them. So we were opening roads up and talking to folks that hasn't communicated to the outside world since the storm passed. So, they were out of water, out of food. 2016, the relief side comes in as we don't only do human rescue. A lot of times the National Guard and government officials won't take pets. They just don't have the means to take them. We get requests from our Facebook page to go back and rescue these people's pets. So we'll go and just rescue pets.
And then where do you have somewhere to put them?
Shelters. We have a couple rescue groups that do work with us. Guardians of Rescue out of New York. They usually send a team down and try to hook up with us. They bring tractor trailer load of dog cages and food.
Well, that's good. I know you always hear about the pets. It's so sad.
It is.
I know.
And after the effect too, there's well checks. Who's that? A dialysis company, not having heard from all of their patients, gave us a list of patients they had not heard from. And dialysis patients only have so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Sent them out. We went door to door, making sure these people were doing okay, they were stable, and
Is there not something that people in that condition, something that checks before to make sure that they're able to get out?
so I have children with special needs, so I'm a little bit familiar.
Okay.
At the start of every hurricane season, I get a phone call. Do you have an evacuation plan? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? So they are supposed to have these plans in place, but sometimes you just, it's worse than what they think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they expected flooding with Michael. They didn't expect the extent of flooding, and they didn't expect the extent of structural damage that they received. So that was the issue with Michael, I believe.
Yeah.
It was more structural than it was. I mean, they had the original flooding, but you're right on the coast. So the ocean comes up, the ocean goes down. But it's the damage that's left behind that. Where we were at in Washington County, we were, I think, about 30 minutes from the coast inland. But we would go through, you'd be driving down the road and there would just be paths of trees just completely down from the tornadoes.
And it's still that way. We just drove to Disney World over Mardi Gras, and I think I timed it like an hour of just downed trees while we were driving, which goes to show you how big that hurricane was and how big of an area it affected. Yeah. And what about the people who say, oh, you should have heeded the warnings, you should have gotten out, you're putting people's lives in danger coming to rescue you. But I think what some people don't understand is to evacuate for a hurricane, it's basically planning for a vacation in 24 hours. I mean, you need money for a hotel, money for food, money for gas, money to get out. Some people really don't have the means to leave.
Correct.
And I think people don't understand that. It's hard for a lot of people.
That actually is a lot of what we faced with Hurricane Florence. We had people calling ahead of time. Are y'all going to be able to come and help? I can't leave. I don't have a vehicle. I don't have anybody to get me. There's no shelters, and I don't have money.
Right.
Okay. We did get those calls ahead of time. And you want to say, you need to get out.
Yeah.
Go however you can. But the answer for some people is that there is no
It's not
however.
possible.
There is no however. We certainly hope people who can do.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely not worth the experience to get rescued.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is thrilled to have to get rescued.
Right.
They're thrilled when it happens because they needed it. Nobody wants to be put in that situation.
Yeah, and sometimes people just don't ever think it's going to be that bad. You hear your grandma say, "Oh, I've lived through Betsy, and I lived through this one, and I'm fine." But it just takes that one time to come in a different way, a different route, and changes the outcome.
And here
It's
in
true.
New Orleans, there's also a little bit of a bubble because ever since Katrina, the authorities out here do mass evacuations for us. They do set up shelters in another area. So there's a misconception sometimes that everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't.
Right.
They don't.
What is the worst damage that you've seen? What would you say would be the worst disaster that you've had to go and rescue?
I would say Harvey.
Harvey, really?
I would say Harvey.
Texas.
Just the widespread. We started in the south on Sunday in Dickinson, and we ended up to the north of Houston in Humble, and just as much water.
And it didn't stop. It was rain. It was a several day event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it hit and then moved and then hit again, and
Yep.
so that just the water wouldn't go down. Yeah. So Harvey, and then would you say Michael was worse than Katrina, or?
I can't speak from that.
Okay.
I wasn't here in Katrina.
Okay, that's
So
true.
I was still in the north.
All right. Where did the name come from? Cajun Navy. Who came up with that?
Hey, that's, like I said, Katrina is one of the largest recollections of it. If you go to Wikipedia, it says it's been around even longer.
It's like a household name now. Everybody knows who the Cajun nationwide. I mean, there's a hurricane, and it's not just hurricanes. I mean, we want people to know that it's any kind of natural disaster. You do search and relief for anything. Didn't they just have a tornado in Alabama, and y'all sent some people out to look for a search and rescue?
We didn't do that one.
No?
We didn't
Okay.
respond. Our organization did not.
There,
But
there are other Cajun Navy organizations out there as well, and another one did respond,
Okay.
so they were out there.
Tell us about how the technology has changed as far as being able to dispatch people now. Because you were mentioning 2 apps. So, and I had to research them because I had never heard of them. Zello, which is basically like a walkie-talkie.
Correct.
And then Glimpse, which shares your location. Those are great, but what if you have no internet? Do they work?
No.
No.
So right now with us, we are planning for that contingency. Should that happen, what are we going to do? We've looked at different types of communication. We've looked at working with communications companies to bring in our own Wi-Fi service as well. It's something that we're still ongoing, exploring. It's going to take partnerships. It's not going to be something that's a simple answer.
And it's definitely such a need for it. And you would think that people would try harder to develop that where there's no communication, there's no contact during a storm.
the technology's there. It's just not cheap.
Right.
And for a nonprofit, it's just
Right.
out of our grasp.
Right. But I'm saying on a city level, like the government level, they should be able to do that. And they haven't done it yet either.
Well, the thing to understand is that if your Wi-Fi is going down, it's because your towers are down
Mm-hmm.
or because your electricity is down. So when you talk about, well, they should, it's going to have to come from resources that you've either stored in an area that's not going to be damaged, that's on site of the disaster, or you're bringing it in. Because you're going to have to talk about generators for power, and you're going to have to talk about some type of source for the communication. We've looked at radio systems.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the options we are exploring. But to get the kind of coverage you really need, the type of area you need coverage for, you need electricity and you need a large tower and you need something that's going to be above where the water is, that's
Right.
not going to be affected by buildings and trees. So
And all of that costs money.
it does. It's not cheap.
Do y'all have any fundraisers or anything that you can do or that you do during the year?
We actually haven't done any.
We haven't done fundraisers
Yeah.
because a lot of our donations come in during disasters. And the past few years since
Mhm.
we came together, we've had a disaster every year. So,
Right.
We get funding during disaster time, but we haven't done any fundraisers now.
Yeah, like on off season, just to have a little cushion or to, what besides monetary, what can people give you that you absolutely need?
There are times when we put up wish lists on Amazon
Mm-hmm.
that will speak to the gear that our voters need. We try to equip people, even spontaneous volunteers. We can never promise to do it. We can't. But we do what we can so that they are equipped as well. Time, services,
And so can anybody join the Cajun Navy? Like you get on your website and you fill out the application to be a volunteer.
you can do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, jumping in with both feet, being active and continuing to be active is how you are a member.
Okay.
It's not just filling out an application.
It takes training, which is what
Well,
the search and rescue games is about, right?
None.
It not even training as much as the willingness to not sit around and wait for somebody to tell you what to do, but to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I mean, that's how I got involved, was bugging people. You know, I'm like, I'm interested. I want to be a part of this, and we can do it the easy way or the hard way. And the hard way is for me to bug you every day, and the easy way is to just let me get started.
So you need a bunch of go-getters. And if you don't have the time, let me ask you this. So if you can't physically be there, but you have a boat that you're willing to donate for an event, or can somebody say, hey, here's my boat, or you can't do that?
We can't accept that boat. If they have somebody they can send with it to use, that's for them.
Okay.
No, the boat, you sending your boat to us isn't something that's going to work, unfortunately. You got to bring somebody to operate it.
Okay.
We do accept donations. We actually just got a donated airboat from Florida that a lady donated to us. So.
That's great. And so if you do have a boat, you want to donate it, or any kind of flood vehicle, that would be great too.
We're
High water vehicles.
Looking for a diesel. We have a 47-foot enclosed trailer that's going to be our mobile command center, and we're currently in the market for a tow vehicle for it. So.
All right. Anybody feeling generous? We need 1 ton, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's see if we can make that happen. That would be great. So talk to us then. So should everybody listening download these 2 apps, Zello and Glimpse? Is that...
Well, Glimpse is the location app. Glimpse is needed only if you're involved in dispatching or if you're a boater. So those are the active ones. Zello is how we communicate during those events, and also how we can communicate during off seasons. If you download Zello and you look for Cajun Navy channel, and it is CAJUNNAVY. No spaces, no other words involved.
Okay.
That is ours. It's the logo with an anchor.
So make sure to look for the right logo and the right. And so if I have Zello, I can call you and say, I'm stranded at such and such an address. Is that how it works?
No,
and then you
if
dispatch?
we're
Okay.
stranding, we can't do it that way.
Okay.
The channel gets so overloaded with communications that what we work to do is get those people funneled into channels where they're able to do what they need to do. That's more of a check-in spot for volunteers. If you're needing help, we actually have on our website a link where you go to enter in the request.
I did see that, yeah.
So we're at CajunNavyRelief.com. You go there, you enter in the ticket for assistance. That is how you get your assistance. We go through a process. We look to see who we have in that area to send someone.
And do you have maybe a liaison or somebody who is a go-between between your organization and then, say, FEMA, to say, look, this is what we have. We're getting these people, so you don't have to worry about that, so that there's not 2 people going to one house.
Well, it's not FEMA. FEMA isn't in the rescue business.
Okay.
It's the Emergency Operations Command Center, the EOCs, and that is absolutely how we work. Is we try to work hand in hand with them. 911 gets overwhelmed. They're pretty much getting the same calls we are. If we're working hand in hand with the EOC, they know where we're going. Okay. And we know where they need us to go.
Who operates and runs who's in charge of the EOC?
That would be your local officials.
Local officials.
It sounds like we are the ones that can, when that spontaneous volunteer shows up and they don't want to work with just a bunch of people who randomly come in, we do.
Okay.
We want to work with you.
Right.
And they want to work with us.
Okay.
So that's how you work to do it and not get that turnaround and get to be effective. You're going to places that still need assistance.
We also work straight with 911 systems sometimes. When I came home from Harvey, the boater I was talking about that was there, Flint Terrio, he stayed in Texas for 2 or 3 days after we came home, and I started running dispatch for him and his team on the other side of it. I was on the other end of the radio then. And Vidor, Texas, we were getting 911 dispatches straight from the 911 dispatcher. She was calling me, giving me the address and the information. I would send them out and their team to clear the address, and then I would get back with the dispatcher, and she would clear it out of their system. So,
And that, in and of itself, I mean, you don't have any GPS, you don't have any, and so you're just kind of, how many times have you been riding looking for a specific house and then having to stop several times along the way because people are just there saying, hey?
well, you also think about, I mean, you don't see house numbers.
No.
You see rooftops. So
Right.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
And are most people on the roofs?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
And that was one of the things with Harvey. That's one of the things that made Harvey so difficult was people were going to the attics and then unable to get out of the attics. So they were having to go and sound on the attics to see if they were getting responses from the attics to go through their roof.
So
from the
scary.
outside with an axe.
Yeah. If you're listening and you're caught in a flood situation, don't go in your attic.
Don't go in your attic, okay?
Go in your attic now.
Go to the highest floor, and if the water starts coming up there, get out the window and climb on your roof.
All right, so do not go in your attic because it's
And-
just that much more difficult to get you rescued.
Well, unless you have a way to cut yourself out, because what if the water continues to come up?
Right.
And, you know,
Get
people
stuff.
say put an axe in there, but I want to tell you, your roof is above you, so imagine picking up an axe. It's a heavy metal head. You have to put it over your head and swing upward to get out, and wood chips are flying back at you, so, and nails.
Mhm.
Some people have nails on the inside of those roofs. So you're dealing
Right.
with, people don't realize the environment in their attic. When you start saying, I'm going to cut through my attic, you can't, chainsaws aren't going to work because you don't have electricity. Unless it's a gas powered one, I guess.
And it's dark and you can't see, you know, and it's scary. And if the water is rising high, fast, it's just not, it's not safe. So just don't get in your attic.
No.
Oh, goodness.
Some people, if you're inclined to put an axe, go get an inflatable raft, get in there, and then go pull that out and go tie yourself to the roof, you know, so that you won't stretch your
So just some of the obstacles you face, right? So, but now we know that they at least let you through. You're the Cajun Navy, and that carries some weight now. I mean, they look at you when you come with some respect because you've rescued so many different people, so countless thousands.
Sometimes that doesn't help you.
No.
We have done our homework, done some of the FEMA ICS courses. A lot of us has ICS 100, 200, and 700, which is the ICS system. It's basically the structure that the EOC runs off of.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we've took the initiative to get those classes taken care of, so they know that they can throw us in the mix and we know our place
So
in
you're
their structure.
Trained to a FEMA standard, so to
Correct.
speak. Okay.
Right. We also, there's a few of us, we're starting a USAR program. We sent 4 last year, myself included, to our partner group, Impact Northwest in Seattle, Washington. They teach technical rope rescue and
Okay.
structural collapse. So it'd be more like tornado scenario, you know,
Right.
where the house is collapsed or buildings, structural collapse. So we do have 4 that's certified in that now too. So any certification helps you get through
Definitely.
the EOCs.
All right. And so at the SAR games, which is the Search and Rescue Games.
Right.
Is that almost kind of like practice for
It
the
is.
upcoming hurricane
And
season?
as they're talking about trying to be the liaison between the EOC and the spontaneous volunteers, this is a way that we can get our kind of more active members trained. We can also let the EOCs see how we can operate within their structure. We invite them. We also invite all of our other members, or not members, but volunteers to come, and then they start working in this structure as well. And together, hopefully, we can work better in all systems to be able to do more rescues and to be able to be taken more seriously in the future, allowing us to get in places that we might not have been able to get in before.
Right, because you are trained, you know, and so the SAR games, Walk us through that. People show up and you actually simulate rescue.
So yes, it's called the SAR Games, and so basically we have boaters signing up and we have dispatchers signing up. What we're doing is we are putting flags along the Calcasieu River in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and those flags are going to simulate people needing rescues. So these will be put into our system. These flags, these rescues, will be putting into our system. They'll be sent to a dispatcher, and the dispatcher then has to read those off and direct a boater to grab these flags. Now the boater will have to pretend that it is a live rescue, bring it back to a boat launch to a safe rescue. When that's then closed out, they can be dispatched to another rescue. We've kind of made it in a game format to keep it fun, and so basically the people with the most flags at the end of the day will win. And again, this is a way to get everybody working together, how to use our apps, systems, the Zello, the Glimpse, teaching the boaters, helping get those spontaneous volunteers more trained, and through training them, as we get even newer people on each hurricane or each disaster event, they can help then train other newer people. So it's just a way to spread the information and the knowledge, and help us become more organized.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, is it for just current?
No.
This is
That's
for.
the thing. This is, you asked about signing up, how
Yes.
to join. This is a really great way to make yourself known to us as someone who really wants to be involved on a larger scale. Coming out there, and let me tell you, there's no registration fees. This is free for you. Just the only money you spend is the money you get out there. You don't pay us anything. This is no fee.
And this is for you also, maybe to see if you're cut out for this. I
You
mean,
can see if, because it is fast paced, we try to keep it going. You're missing the stress of an actual life being in danger. But yeah, you're getting exposed to everything that we do in a simpler format.
and if you're not participating, is it something we can come out and watch?
To a degree, you can. You're not going to be able to go and watch somebody
Right.
go flag in. There isn't any set place to watch what is going on. You can observe us and the mobile command center.
Jason, can I ride with you with the camera in the boat?
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately
Be
not.
like, okay, here we go.
We do have some opportunities for that, for media and sponsors.
We will have a pontoon boat set up to take camera crews out.
Okay.
So if that is something you want to do, you can definitely
love
sign
to.
up and get on our. You can definitely sign up to get on our sponsorship.
That would be great. So it does. It sounds like fun. So the SAR Games, that's April 6th. And for everybody, I just want to make sure that they know exactly where to find you on social media and the correct
We are
website.
Cajun Navy Relief.
So CajunNavyRelief.com.
Yes. One of our members once said, anybody can claim to be Cajun Navy, but we're the only one that claims to give you relief.
There you go. I love it.
I liked it when I heard it.
And Elizabeth Danos is saying that you have a wish list on Amazon for the SAR Games. So, and she put a link. So for anybody wanting to know what they can donate to assist with this, the search and rescue games, which is basically to introduce new people and train them on how to rescue people for this upcoming hurricane season. So if you can log on to that on Amazon and give what you can. A truck, an F-150, that, right? Is that what we need?
350.
F-350. No, be picky.
He's not going to pull that trailer.
Okay, got it. So I just want to say thank you for coming. What you guys do is incredible. The world should take note. It's just a bunch of people helping with expecting absolutely nothing in return. And that's so rare these days. And you've grown, and I think more and more people are going to join this organization because it just saves lives. And it's something that we needed. So you make Louisiana proud. We love you guys. Y'all are badass. Just to put it just plain and simple. The Cajun Navy is badass, so thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed having you guys here. All right, and I'll meet you next week in the boat, right? All right, I'll be there. Thank you. All right, everybody, have a good Saturday, and donate to CajunNavyRelief.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.